this video I'm going to show you how I transform myself into Percival the Rolo from the first campaign of Critical Role. Let's get started. I'm going to begin by pulling my hair away from my face with wig clips or snap combs as they are also called. I do an entire row and make sure that no baby hairs are sticking out. Then I roll my hair up in the back and fasten it with bobby pins. I also secure a wig clip on either side in the back to keep any hairs from sticking out of the wig cap. Once the wig cap is on, I secure it with pins that I push underneath the clips for extra hold. I start out my makeup by applying my favorite hydrating primer from Makeup Forever. I simply use my hands for this. Then I'm taking a light shade of NYX Cosmetics Total Control Foundation and applying a thin layer. I'm avoiding going too heavy around the eye area since I am going to be making myself look a little tired later and it would just be counterproductive. Don't forget to apply a bit on the ears if you're wearing a short wig. I'm not going to be using a lot of concealer here since I'm not going for a makeup heavy look. I'm just applying a few dots of L'Oreal's Perfect Match Concealer around my nose and as a very subtle highlight. Then I set everything with a translucent powder from Ben Nye. I use a small beauty blender to press it into my skin under the eyes and nose, since that's where fine creases are prone to happening. Afterwards, I set the rest of my face and brush any excess off. All products will be listed in the description box below. Now I can begin the contouring. I'm taking my blood sugar palette and mixing the two light pink tones and applying them underneath my eyes. I imagine Percy looking a little tired, whether from spending a long night in the workshop or because of, regret. Next, I'm taking my NYX contour palette and using the lightest shade, I'm going to slowly start sculpting out the shape of my nose. When cosplaying from a show like Critical Role, there's more freedom to play with the character's look. It isn't a look-alike contest. Play around with the shading and find out what you like. Here I'm making a slight oval shape at the top of my nose bridge as well as shading the tip of my nose and the sides. I prefer to slowly add more depth to the look, so I'll be going over these areas again with a darker shade later. Here I'm shading to make my eyes appear a bit more sunken and my brow more prominent. Then I'm taking a smaller brush and adding some fine lines to the side of my nose. Moving on to the eyes. I'm taking the same brush as before with the same light brown and apply it to my crease, underneath my eyes, and from the corners of my eyes I make these small lines. Take one exhaustion point. I'm now going to deepen the shading by my brow, and I'm making a bit of a sharper point and blending it out. I also contour above my cupid's bow and right under my lower lip. For the cheekbones, I'm taking a large brush and follow my bone structure. Instead of blending it out at the end, I pull down the line in the front. I'm also contouring my temple, and since some of this will be covered by the wig, it doesn't really matter if it's a little darker along the hairline. I also contour my jawline. Now I'm going to take the small brush from earlier and add some frown lines. The next step is what takes this look from Voldemort's nosy cousin to, well, something better. For my eyebrows, I'm going to be using a black MAC eyeshadow and an angled brush. I have bleached brows since it gives me more freedom to play with expression, and I am going to place these brows slightly lower than my own. I sketch out the shape I want with small strokes to make it look like individual hairs. I want it to look more natural than graphic. I like using eyeshadow for this because I can build up the intensity. You could also add some black liner to it to make it even more intense. Now I'm going to take my Skin Illustrator palette and splatter on some texture or freckles, whatever you want to call it. Skin Illustrator is alcohol activated, so I'm just spraying the alcohol on the palette and the lid to mix it. I'm using an old art brush to splatter it on. This technique creates a subtle texture on the skin and adds a little bit of redness, which makes it look more natural, and it looks great in photos. I also recommend doing this before putting on your costume. You don't want this color splattered all over your nice white shirt. Last part of the makeup is just a little bit of lip balm. Before I put on the wig, I'm going to be gluing on my sideburns. These are custom ones that I made specifically for Percy. I'm gluing these on with Kryolan Mastix. I apply the Mastix on each side and wait for it to become tacky. Then I just place the sideburn and use a hairpin to press down the lace edges. Now that I have my costume on, it's time to put on the wig. This one is from Ada in the color Victory Blonde. It looks a little messy, but I just take a few seconds to make sure it looks alright. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this transformation and thank you for watching.